Hey guys, it's the 2nd of February. It looks like this market's going to be mixed into the close. It's about 10 minutes away. I have an important question to ask you. One, are you in a habit of letting your winners turn into losing trades? If you are, you're going to want to watch today's video all the way to the end. I've got some suggestions on how you can fix that and improve your trading plan. But first, up in that corner, I have a drop down. Tell you how you can get involved and take a test flight in the AutoPilot trading service. So let's get on to today's session. Put the glasses on. That means I'm getting serious. So what the heck is the market doing? One is, as you can see, the S&P kind of pushing up just slightly above the 50-day moving average. Good positive move. A couple of things that are I will say of some concern is that one, while the market is coming up in really nice rally attempt, the Investor Business Daily shows us that we are back in a uptrend. And however, what's going on over here? The volume, and again, this is just the S&P, not the actual this is the spiders, not the S&P. But that lackluster volume could mean that all we're in here is that this could be just a rally attempt back up into the moving averages or maybe up to the trend line to kiss the trend line goodbye and fall some more. The economy in the United States has still got a lot of headwind to get through, as you're very much aware of that. So let's see, we'll see what transpires from here as we move into the close for the day. Again, as I said earlier, we have a mixed market. The S&P up, the NASDAQ and the tech stocks up, small cap Russell down. Small cap Russell down. Let's take a look at the Qs. Interesting pattern today. What do we have? We have what could be considered to be a hanging man after other hanging man. Previous hanging man yesterday. We did the positive side in today's action is looks as if we will be closing above the 200-day moving average. So if we get back above the 200-day moving average, that could be good. The 8-day is turning around. The 20-day is also turning around. We are still below the 50-day moving average, which is up here about the 376 area. What I would be looking at for one or two things. Here's where I would look to potentially trade this is if I get back up into these areas here, or I reverse down, break out and break the low of the high day, which that would be today, or if I get back up here and test in this area here, that would give me an opportunity to, and if we stall out, that's saying that we're probably going to fall. How far will we fall? You can throw your Fibonacci on there to make a guess on that. The other one is if we pull back into let's say this is the high, we pull back towards the 8-day moving average, or even this past level of support that we drew in here from past breakouts, that could also give us an opportunity to get in. Let's throw a real quick fib on there just to see what kind of a retracement that would be from the low here to the high here. And isn't that interesting? A 50% retracement puts you right back in the middle of that support and resistance zone. Since we'd be approaching it from this side of the zone, it would be considered a support zone. But down about 352 to 350, then I'd be looking at I would like to be looking at taking some trades in TQQ or an option trade on the Qs themselves. Next. The Russell, okay, Russell, a little bit, more areas of, is it huge concern, or is just the Russell, basically going to take a lot of time to work off the damage that was done previously? Bullet bearish engulfing pattern, as we see right here. So that does, in fact, just slightly below the 20-day moving average. So about the 204 level. And this was at, let's see, we got up to as high as 203.90 today. And that's 204.82 right there. we may get a reversal off of this. I will look towards the intraday chart to see what the intraday chart, the hour or the half hour chart, to see if I do have a setup to trade it to the downside. So S&P is the strongest, followed by the NASDAQ. The Russell is the weakest of all of them. And so we'll be keeping our eye on that moving forward. And so let's go ahead and what about some of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier? How well, one of the questions I always have is how well did you trade your system in January? Were you pleased with how well you traded it? Regardless of whether you were pleased or not, what will you do in February to improve on your performance in January? And one of the mistakes traders make all the time is they always look to their P&L to determine their how well they did with their trading plan. And oftentimes that's the wrong place to look. There's a lot of other things. How well did you execute your plan? Because oftentimes, you can have some winners, you can have some losers, and oftentimes break even. You may have broken even for January, but executed your plan perfectly. And so you'd have to give yourself a grade of an A or a 10 out of a 9 or a 10 out of a possible 10 points because you traded your plan perfectly. So don't get hung up so much on the win-loss or on the profit-loss. Look to the other. Let's see. The other thing I want to take a look at is some of the areas that are having earnings coming up. As you know, Netflix had earnings a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's not it. Let's go back. If I'm looking for a weak stock, well, darn it, Dennis. Keep clicking my button's the wrong button. Button, who's got the button? There we go. Let's go this way. As you can see, I've been talking about this for quite some time as Netflix gapped down after earnings, and I said about midway up that gap down would be a level of resistance, and sure enough, we hit it yesterday. We're getting a sell-off with a potential reversal today. We have not taken out the low of the high days yet, so if that's one of your triggers, just stand by. May happen here shortly. So I like Netflix to the downside. Amazon has bumping my mouse. Amazon actually has earnings tomorrow. A little bit of a sell-off today. Google had earnings last night, reported out. Nice gap up. However, what did it gap up into? Right back into a level of resistance. Stop like it's hitting a brick wall and is reversed down off of that. Now, this may go on and provide us a excellent building block because now this whole gap can be considered a level of support with the midsection of the gap, which would be right about the 100-day moving average, the strongest level of that if you'd like to trade Google. Facebook also coming up with earnings after the close today. Another stock that reported yesterday also showing similar characteristics. Gap up on AMD, very positive. However, where did gap up into? Right into a level of and there's the bell, of resistance at the 50-day moving average, and then it's starting to sell off. Anytime you get this kind of move up, okay, this is a rally attempt. We hit the brakes at the resistance. You can that's a great sign if you want to trade this back down to the downside with maybe some bear credit spreads. That is a great way to go. Or even buying some puts down to the downside. So that's another one, AMD. One of the stocks that I really like, I think it will continue to be a strong player in the future, is our buddy Tesla. Tesla came down, tested into the middle of this big green candle here, right at the 618 retracement of 85. I was thinking it was going to turn around about 900. But this is one of those where, for our AutoPilot trading members, we actually put out an option trade on this to pick up a nice, a good spread on it this morning. That spread is now positive, and it is, we'll look for that to continue on. As long as we close above 905 on the 18th of February, we'll be definitely in a good chunk of money. And I always take my spreads off earlier. If I hit, 20, and if I hit 35 to 60% of my potential profit, I'll go ahead and take those off the table. Why? Because the longer you come, sometimes the longer you hold a spread or an option, the more risk gets involved with it. So that's what we got for Tesla. So then I would just want to just bounce this over to you and say, hey, take a look at this. One of the things a couple of things that you need to add to, and I hate it when people say you need to do this, but let's talk about it really quickly. The concept of compounding. One, and here's the answer to part of the question that you had on if you're leaving profits on the table. One of the ways that I stop leaving profits on the table is I would come to an agreement with myself on where I wanted to take profits, and identified that somewhere between my first profit target would be somewhere between 7 to 10%. And so I'll take off a portion of the position. It's part of the thing in learning how to trade. You learn how to pay yourself as prices move in the direction you want it to go. And so then once I hit the 7 to 10%, I immediately move my place a stop loss, a trailing stop at approximately 7%. So that way, even if the trade goes against me, the worst I will do is a 3%, somewhere between a 0 to a 3% profit, which is great. My next target is 22.5%. And then I'll hold on to the last third of it, or it may be a home run, and I want to jump on that. But so that takes care of how to stop, letting your winners turn into losers, because nothing is more debilitating or psychologically draining than letting your winners turn into a loser. The other one is make compounding part of your trading plan. Understand how it works. Here's a simple compounding table. I have put in here 5%. Now, is it reasonable to, and we won't answer the question right now, is it reasonable to expect that I can get 5% of my money every week? If you're an option trader, yes, that is. And if you're a growth stock trader, you probably know, yeah, I could probably do that. It's within, the realm of possibility. You can actually push it. Could it be 10%? Could it be 15% per week? I'll let you do the math on that. But if I was starting with a small account of $500, and I've divided this into 52 weeks, let me show you the 52 weeks part. Week 1, all the way to week 52. So it's 4 quarters. And if I started with $500 at 5% by the end of the year, 52 weeks later, I'd have $6,300 and some change. Well, what happens then if I just did the same thing for year 2? Well, I don't know. Let's find out what would happen. So that'd be 6,321. Well, how much what would it be at the end of year 2? $79,000. $79,000. What about if I then rolled it over one more time? $79,915. And by the end of that third year, I'd have well over $1 million, and that's just gaining 5% per week. Now, is that doable? Would it take some management? Sure. But it shows it's within reason. It's something reasonable. How could that change your life? How could that change the life of your family if you rolled this into your trading plan? I'll leave that for you to discuss, and we'll come back and discuss that at a later time. But then, and this is where I talk to my friends who are seniors. Hey guys, get started. There's no reason to not be building wealth, even if you're 70. because, find $500, learn how to do some trading, subscribe to the AutoPilot trading service, where I show you exactly how to trade. And that's one of the things that we've done with the AutoPilot trading service, is that it's so valuable because and compounding is one of the principles of trading yourself to wealth. And here's a perfect example of a stock that we, put in, we basically, in an AutoPilot trading service, we got into the stock CF, which is CF Industries. And again, I take care of a couple of different things with this. Let me show you. I send out, one is a link, and I sent out this on the 23rd of the weekend of the 23rd of January. And you see CF. I explained exactly where I was going to get into this trade at 62.50, and here's my profit target. That's 10%. Profit target number 2. Stop loss, and show you. And this goes out to all of our AutoPilot trading members. 2. This didn't get worked. And so what I do that's different than a lot of services, I will, if it is still a viable stock, in this case, a top 5 growth stocks, made all the rankings on IBD, I will put out what I call a midweek course correction, aviation type stock. Or what I'll do is I'll just roll it over to the next week. Maybe there's a new set of circumstances. When I was flying with the Navy, we would constantly check the weather to see if things changed. Did I need to make a course correction? And sure enough, this week I had a course correction. Same stock, but I moved my entry level to 68.60, and my profit target number 1 was here at 75.40, then $84. And so this went out to members. And they can then put in this as a conditional order if they want to parallel trade with us or paper trade this training session. They can do that. And what happens today? So where did we wind up getting into this stock? Well, at around $68 and a little bit of change right there. And that was on. Let me put that on the proper date. It was on Monday, which is right there. What happens today? It basically launched out of here, hit its 10% up here. And so now I closed out a third of the position with a 10% gain, and the rest of my position has a 7% trailing stop on it. So it moves up with my price action. And my next profit target is 22.5%. Again, there'll be a link down in the description on how you can join and become a AutoPilot trading member. And I said, take a test flight for 3 months and find out, can it work for you? And we've got lots of traders that it's working very nicely for, and it's kind of nice to know that because you've got conditional orders. So it really is a fire and forget type of mechanism. So let's see what I'm missing. I don't think I'm missing anything else for today. We covered Google. We covered Google. We covered, what else do we cover? We covered the aspect of compounding. And if you have any questions, please leave some comments down in the lower section of the of the YouTube channel. Again, hope you enjoyed this on the radar, and let's take off. I'm really pleased with how January went last year. Finished up a little, or this last month, finished up a little bit, and walked into February just hitting it on all cylinders. Excellent job. So aloha, God bless everybody.